Hey, you guys. Sorry I couldn't be there with you to tackle this together, but we're going to make the most of it. And thanks to technology, you can still have my wonderful voice to lull you to a state of some kind of attention, right? Not inattention. Look at these four things on here. First section, you guys got this packet. And on the first page, those of you I've talked to already, I said leave this blank because I want to do the first page together, and you can finish the rest of the booklet during class today with the help of those around you and the teacher in the room. So here's the stuff I've got for you. Rhombus is a square. These are always, sometimes, or never statements. Let me show you the tools that you have to help you answer this. So if I say a rhombus is a square, I can tell you right now a rhombus is sometimes a square, but it's not always a square. And the reason, the things that I know about it is you can shape a rhombus. You can keep messing with a rhombus. So I'll just draw a really rough one right here. Let's say the sides are congruent. That's a rhombus. You know that. I can push this upper right-hand side, and I can push it into the shape of a square. So a rhombus doesn't have to be a square, but it could be shaped like one. So it's sometimes a square. Now, if that's not your fancy, if you can't visualize that kind of thing, we have this tool, this grid you guys have. A rhombus is sometimes, if you have to go from rhombus to a square, what it's saying is that a rhombus can eventually, all its characteristics can be turned into a square. A rectangle is sometimes a square. A parallelogram is sometimes a rectangle. A parallelogram is sometimes a rhombus. Are you noticing a pattern here? A quadrilateral is sometimes a parallelogram. If you descend this chart, go from something on top down to something below it, sometimes you throw the word sometimes in there, that might be a good descriptor. A parallelogram is sometimes a rectangle, sometimes a rhombus. A rhombus is sometimes a square. A rectangle is sometimes a square. So those, as you descend down, it's a sometimes issue. Now let me clear all those, make some room in here. The kite, however, and trapezoid, that stuff always stays just separate. These are kind of goofy. Oops, let me put that back. These are goofy cousins, the old trapezoid stuff. So though the characteristics of a kite end up in a rhombus and all the characteristics of an isosceles trapezoid do actually show up in a rectangle, they're definitely different images. So these guys, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, a kite is never one of the others in this picture. A kite, a trapezoid, an isosceles trapezoid is never a parallelogram, rectangle, rhombus, or square. Kite is never a parallelogram, rectangle, rhombus, or square. There is, however, the connection between a quadrilateral is sometimes a trapezoid. A quadrilateral is sometimes a kite. So you get the idea what sometimes is? I hope that helps. So a rhombus is a square, sometimes. You could make it into one, but it's not always that case. A rectangle is a parallelogram. Now that's a little bit different. A rectangle is a parallelogram. If I draw any old rectangle, you know, the sides are perpendicular, so you get those right angles. Is it a parallelogram? This means the opposite sides are parallel. That's really the big definer. And in fact, in a rectangle, that's always true. A rectangle is always a parallelogram. If you can't visualize that or pick it up that way, you can always look at the chart. A rectangle, if you go upward to a quadrilateral above, a rectangle is, if you're going up, it's always, a rectangle is always a parallelogram. A rhombus is always a parallelogram. Any of these below, a square is always a quadrilateral. So anytime you're going up the chart, it's always. So you can use the chart to help in that way. A trapezoid is a parallelogram. A trapezoid is never a parallelogram. It's just a different shape altogether. So if you can keep in mind, those kites and trapezoids are never like those down the middle, the parallelogram, rectangle, rhombus, etc. A parallelogram is a rectangle. A parallelogram is a rectangle. Do you remember that one? A parallelogram's above, rectangle below. That's a sometimes. You can turn a parallelogram into a rectangle if you just push on that end there. Now you got parallel sides. Great. Now if you push on that end, it could turn it into a rectangle like the one you see above. So that's a sometimes. Again, if you can't visualize that kind of thing, then the next page, parallelogram, let's clear all my stuff out here, is above rectangle. So I would be descending. A parallelogram can be a rectangle. It sometimes is a rectangle. Cool, that's your intro on that section. Next video. So take a look at that. Take a look at the next page. There's 4 questions similar to that I want you to tackle now.